Do you know what the prison industrial complex is?
Not too sure about that, no.
I don't know.
I do not know what the prison industrial complex is.
Okay, prison industrial complex. I think that basically means that the prison is turning into a business, right? Industrial, like kind of maybe a business kind of thing, I don't know. And also our prisons are now getting so overcrowded, and our prisons are like, they're becoming such a huge business within America. And I think that the industrial complex is maybe making that into a business. Instead of trying to rehabilitate these people, we just want them to come back in. Most criminals are back within like 6 months or whatever, like anyways. So I think that's something to do with it.
How does it affect whites?
I'm not sure. I think it affects every race in its own way. I think whites, maybe it encourages this, like, this like theory surrounding white privilege a little bit. I think maybe it goes around that a little bit more, because you definitely see a little more ethnicity within the prisons. So I think maybe that can affect that a little bit.
It makes them richer.
So do you know how this could affect white and black people?
How could it affect white and black people? Well, I think it would adversely affect black people more than white people, because they'd be making. I guess it kind of play off the stereotype.
Do you know how this affects black people?
Puts them in jail. Puts them in jail.
Yeah.
That's tough too. I think it affects blacks in a negative lighting, just because I feel like there is more ethnicity due to this growing population of inmates, and it kind of definitely has adds to like a racial divide that makes people like think races are different and races are better for this or that.
Do police racially profile people?
No. You want me to elaborate on it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no. I just feel like certain people do certain crimes and they just do their job, and society just makes it out worse to be than it is, and they just make it to be something that's not. When they broke the law, they broke the law. That's just what their job is.
Of course. Sorry.
It's okay. This is a lot of people's like.
I say that because, the first time I ever got stopped by a cop, I had 4 cops stop me, and it was because I didn't have a license plate. It's like, why did 4 cops have to stop me, and I was the only girl in the car? And then when I talked to my other friends and the things that they go through, if they're white, it's not even the same, I don't know, I guess the same degree, versus if I talk to a student of color, it's like they instantly get it. They instantly get the same scenarios that don't even add up.
Oh yeah, 100%. Look at Arizona, where basically they were told to if somebody looks Mexican, stop them at the border. That's just racial profiling at its greatest. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I believe they do. In let's say for example, my parents, one day my dad was driving and nothing was going on, and all of a sudden he got pulled over, and the police officer didn't really have anything to say except for he kept trying to find reasons to arrest him and to get him in trouble, and I feel like that's very unfair, and I feel like they do that a lot more, especially with for example, Sandra Bland. I feel like stuff like that happens a lot, and it's unfair.
No, I don't know, because I haven't really had an incident with it and don't keep up with it, so.
I don't know if they profile based on race, but I do believe that they profile on different things. I believe that's common in all people, not just the police.
I do believe that they do.
All the time.
Duh.
All the time. Okay.
All the time.
All the
A police
time.
officer asked me if I was going to hoop at 1 in.
Am I strong? Okay, I'm
Racially profile people.
every day. I believe so. But like I said, I feel like the white men are raised to protect themselves and their family. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And who are they're protecting their family against us, black men.
Right.
And I just feel like that give them a different opinion. They're a little bit more aggressive with us, and they fear us, and that's where a lot of this stuff comes from.
Okay.
I think some do. I don't think all do. My dad's a cop, so that's why it's kind of hard for me when I see things in the news that are constantly bringing up police officers, and there is a problem. There definitely is, but it's just remembering not all cops are like that, and making sure if we can, I think, lessen that tension, maybe things will get better, instead of constantly being angry about it.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't think it's just a police thing. I think we all racially profile each other in some way, shape, form, or another. Like, I know, like, for example, if you're not just police, like we do it every day. Like, let's say you're on campus at night and you're walking in the nighttime and it's dark outside, and you're across the street from a person that looks sketchy and strange. You might turn the other way because you don't want that person to do anything to you, and that person may not be thinking about you at all. But I mean, it's just how it is. And until, like I said, it comes from a lack of understanding. Until you understand a human being for who they are and not what they look like, then I think that those stereotypes will keep, coming.
Do you feel like people are oppressed in this country?
Of course.
Do you have any examples of how people are oppressed?
I think the biggest type of oppression that we have today is financially. Because if you don't have the financial means, you'll never be successful in this world. So I think the number one oppression that we're dealing with right now is the financial oppression of people, whether it be by race, by gender.
Yes.
What are some ways that you think people are oppressed?
Well, people are oppressed socially and like politically, but like how that happens is like person to person, really.
Oppression?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think that oppression comes from a lack of understanding of one another. And when you don't understand a person or their background or where they come from, it's easy to hold that sort of oppression. So yes, I do believe that.
I feel like it just depends on the person, but yeah, I feel like some people are, to be honest.
Like what kind of people would you say that are oppressed?
I guess it just depends on the person and their situation.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. If so, who?
I think the oppression lies more with poverty. For my term paper, I just wrote about how the entire criminal justice system discriminates against people of lower social status, and I think that's a huge issue in our country today. I don't believe it's necessarily race-based, but more so economic-based.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not as frequent or prevalent as it's been in the past, but it still happens.
I think they're oppressed, depressed, or repressed by capitalism. Now, I don't know. I think like they definitely are. I think that as like our younger generations, we need to like emphasize not racial difference but racial unity. And I think with the media and stuff like that, like we're definitely oppressed because it really emphasizes race as being so much different, and kids are growing up where like all these bad things are happening and like all these, basically race riots are starting up again, college sit-ins, yada yada yada. So right. I think we are oppressed.
I believe people are what they want to be. They can be oppressed, but it's how they see themselves. I mean, it's America. You can make your life what you want it to be, but it's how they see themselves. And they can be oppressed, but it's if they let themselves be oppressed.
Do you believe there are disparities between how white and black are treated in the criminal justice system?
Yes, I feel like there's disparities in the way like some people who work in the criminal justice system treat different different races.
Do I think that white people have a advantage over black people in the criminal justice system?
Yes.
I think they got more resources, like as far as lawyers and stuff.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, easy.
I mean, they're treated, I think, regardless of how they're treated, I think everyone, if you're in prison, for example, like you're treated wrong, but I do think that African Americans are treated a little bit more differently. I know, speaking for myself, my brother was in jail. He just recently got out, and he's done like almost 15 years in jail. And the time that he did in jail was he didn't get he didn't get the freedoms that other inmates gotten. And regardless of that, I can't really speak on it because I didn't share the same experiences that he did, but all I know is he wasn't happy with the way that he was treated. So based off of my of the experiences I had with my brother, I think that they're treated rather unfair for so a lot more.
Of course.
Why?
Other than the staggering statistics, I think it's evident with people I know, and it's hard to deny it when you're in a community and when you see your own people and people you know get oppressed, and you go to a school in a different neighborhood and they don't even, the same issues aren't being, vibrated in the same way. Like it's not even a topic of discussion for them.
Justice system.
I don't think so. I think that's another society thing. I think that, I mean, there's black people that are terrible and there's white people that are terrible. It's just how they act and what they do to define what kind of criminal and what they are as a person.
I don't have a good answer for that one.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Why?
I just got out of a criminal justice 104 and my professor was talking today about how, like, I forget the exact number, it was like 70% of criminal inmates aren't non-white and they're all minorities.
Do you think private companies should be able to profit off of prisons?
And the people in the... No.
I don't really know how to answer this question, but I feel like...
No, because they're benefiting from putting people in jail. And the most population in jail is black people.
Yeah.
Slavery.
That's true. That is very true.
Slavery.
That is true too. And you throwing people in jail for just to make money. So that's kind of suspicious. So you got people in there with non-violent crimes, you know, doing all this time for what?
I mean, no, because I mean, I guess you could call it a form of slavery in a way. I mean, although they're incarcerated and although they're in jail and although, you know, they did whatever they did to be in jail, you're still making money off of a human being, regardless of it. And I know it costs way more money to put an inmate in jail and have him incarcerated than it does for them, you know, to be outside. And I know, like, in certain jobs, some of them can make like 18 cents an hour or whatever, and that's just wrong. You know, that's like human labor. So regardless of that, I don't think that's a good idea.
Like becoming more of a private industry thing. I don't know my opinions on that. I think if to a certain extent it might be okay, such as prisons going out. I don't know that companies would be profiting if prisons go out and clean up the roads or whatever, but if it comes to a certain extent where they're using it for cheap labor, such as making furniture and stuff, I do think it is crossing some boundaries.
Ooh, private companies?
Yes.
Should be able to profit off of
Prisons.
I have no comment for that.
Yes, because the government is, the prison system is just so corrupt and just not working well that private companies in the past in construction and stuff like that have done better than governmentally funded and government ran like companies.
Well, I think everything's a business, and part of the industrial complex goes back to like private. That's why they're getting so big and like there's so many, like they're trying to grow, is because private companies are trying to profit. Should they? Probably not. That would maybe take away from the emphasis and like the growing of prisons, but probably not. I don't know, but they do.
How do you believe prisons should be run?
Well, I'm a firm believer in, like, I guess you could say tit for tat, that the crime you did is the crime that you're going to get punished for. So you don't want to let, like, the death penalty in California, you can be under the death penalty for your whole life. And in Texas, you have a year to parole. So I think that the prison systems just need to be more strict and run better.
Well, I've never been in a prison, but I feel like they should just be like a living, like a housing thing for people who have done something wrong, and you know, kind of like a dorm, but like you can't leave. And they're all like treated respectfully and fairly, and just kind of like that, I guess. You know, obviously there shouldn't be anything corrupt going on in there. They're criminals, but they're still people, you know, they're humans. So just like a dorm for people who've done something wrong, and like a timeout, like a grown-up timeout. Yeah.
I don't think I know enough about prisons yet to have much of an opinion on that.
I think we should probably rethink about petty crimes and the length of time people are given, and seriously take in consideration, like for example, someone who's being arrested who is white for having weed on them is going to get a different set of time for someone who is of color, and I think that should be seriously taken into consideration, have like a stencil for the same crimes to be put in place. I mean, I don't really know how to fix our correctional system because it's such a vast problem, but I feel like if we start taking, I guess, color, or I guess if we take out like the problems of race out of the situation, it can start to amend some of the issues of our correctional system. Other than that, like, we're screwed.